Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Triangulation is brought to you by Cashfly at CACHEFLY.com.
It's time for Twit's annual audience survey, and we want to hear from you. Please visit twit.tv/survey and let us know what you think. It only takes a few minutes, and your anonymous feedback will help us make Twit even better. We thank you so much for your continued support. twit.tv/survey. This is Triangulation, episode 195, recorded Monday, April 6th, 2015. Peter Diamandis. Triangulation is brought to you by Personal Capital. With Personal Capital, you get award-winning financial tools, unbiased advice, and a transparent view of all your investments. Best of all, it's free. To sign up, go to personalcapital.com/triangulation. And by Trunk Club. Have the wardrobe you've always dreamed of, handpicked by your own personal stylist. Go to trunkclub.com/twit and join Trunk Club today for free. And by Blue Apron. Blue Apron will send you all the ingredients to cook fresh, delicious meals with simple step-by-step instructions right to your door. To see what's on the menu this week and get your first 2 meals free, go to blueapron.com/twit. That's blueapron.com/twit. It's time for Triangulation, the show where we get some of the most interesting people in technology, and we get to talk to them, and you get to ask questions, and I love it. And I got to say, I've been excited about talking to this guy for some time. Peter Diamandis is our guest. We're here. We took advantage of the fact that he has a new book called Bold, and it's subtitled "How to Go Big, Create Wealth, and Impact the World." So we will talk about that. But I also want to talk about Xprize and the Zero Gravity Corporation and space adventures. He is the co-founder and chairman of the Singularity University. He is the founder and chairman of the Xprize Foundation, and I am thrilled to talk to, and let's not forget the planetary resources. Thrilled to talk to Peter Diamandis. Nice to talk to you, Peter. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Great to be here.
What's interesting is you were training to be a physician. Did you ever practice?
No, got it right the first time. And just kidding. No, I have the distinction of having graduated medical school and running 2 companies my 4th year of medical school. I got my diploma and bolted.
Wow.
I sent a photocopy to my parents and never looked back.
I have the feeling you were always interested in space a little bit.
Yeah, since my childhood.
Yeah,
you know, I'm a kid of the 60s, born in the 60s, grew up on Star Trek, Apollo.
Yep.
The belief that the cosmos was ours to inherit, and pissed off that we weren't going faster, and the rest came from that.
I'm a little older than you. I'm 58, but I grew up watching Walter Cronkite and Apollo. Started with Mercury, and then Gemini, then Apollo, and the whole thing. And I would stay up and I would watch it. And if there was a hold, I didn't care. I'd watch Uncle Walter dismantle the rocket ship, put it together again, all while waiting for the rocket to launch. And you're right. After Apollo, it was like we flatlined. And that was so sad. So is that what prompted you to create all of this stuff?
It was a realization that stuff was moving much slower than expected.
Yeah.
Honestly, it should be going faster. And then the realization that NASA was never going to recreate Apollo.
Yeah.
And that there was a new engine we could hook on to our dreams, and that was that of commercial space, and that the technology entrepreneurs now have to do great things is rivals what governments had 20, 30 years ago, and why can't we do it ourselves? And that there was more wealth to be created in space than was imaginable. And so that was the mantra, the mindset that got me going with Zero G and Xprize and Space Adventures and now Planetary Resources and many companies in the future.
Private space exploration. Is there still a role for governmental space exploration?
Sure. Yeah, the government should very much be going out and seeing if there's life in Europa. Should be looking for planets around other stars. They should be doing the stuff that has very little economic upside, that is truly pushing human science and frontiers, But every place possible, the government should be contracting entrepreneurs to take the risks and doing things cheaper. It's what, the timing is everything. And the fact that Elon Musk had started SpaceX in early 2000s, just before the shuttle disaster, the second shuttle disaster with Columbia, and left the U.S. without a launch vehicle, and the government was, do we go through a tens and $100 billion development, or do we take the risk with entrepreneurs? They took the risk with entrepreneurs, and there's been dividends paid as a result of that with the Falcon Dragon system.
So, and you talk about this in bold. The word moonshot almost belongs to you, the Xprize, $10 million fund to facilitate private space exploration, to get people thinking along those lines. I think planetary resources is interesting, though, because it doesn't make sense to do private exploration unless there's some profit there.
Agreed. And planetary resources has a number of different elements to it. People know only about sort of the precious metal side, but we're building a brand new generation of space drones. Think about quadcopters for space, if you would. These are very low cost. Much of the propulsion and tankage are 3D printed. They've got AI on board. They have laser comm communications. These are the Imperial probe droids, if you would, except we're the kindler, gentler version of that. We're the Rebel Alliance, not the Imperial Empire.
Oh, thank God.
But these are the Imperial probe droids that are able to go out to Phobos and Deimos, the moons of Mars, go out to the asteroids, go out and look around, very, very low cost. And we're excited about the idea of being able to do this because some of these asteroids that come very near the Earth, near Earth approaching asteroids are very rich in useful materials. What are those materials? The low-hanging fruit is fuel, hydrogen and oxygen. If you can remove that as water, and these asteroids are 20% water by weight. Water off these asteroids comes off very easy. If you just heat them up and the water boils off, you can have them hit a cold plate and get a buildup of water, of ice. You can bring back to low Earth orbit, and then you can break it up into hydrogen and oxygen for rocket fuel. You then have other materials, nickel and iron, which if you break it up into fine particle size, 20 to 50 micron, you can use it for laser sintering and do 3D printing in zero-G. Or finally, some of these asteroids are 1,000 times more rich or concentrations of platinum group metals, platinum, palladium, iridium, and so forth, which are very useful for electronics, medical devices, displays here on Earth. And, the book I wrote previous to Bold was a book called Abundance. Mm-hmm. And Abundance was all about this mindset that really technology is the force that takes what used to be scarce and makes it abundant. So if you think that, platinum or platinum group metals are scarce, maybe they are on the Earth's surface, but if you look beyond the Earth's surface to, the low-hanging fruit of the solar system, it's abundant.
It almost feels like a race between us running out of resources on the planet and people like you getting out there and getting even things as simple as water so that we don't run out. And that's, I loved Abundance because it said there is a future for a planet with 9 million people competing for resources. There's enough.
9 billion.
9 billion. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah. And it's interesting because just for the people who are watching this who are scared about overpopulation, please don't be. There's a beautiful thing going on. If you go to TED.com and you type in Bill Gates, he gives a great TED Talk which summarizes it beautifully, or go buy a copy of Abundance and you'll get a great summary there too. And it's the notion that of the countries in rapid growth, in other words, we're having 5, 6, 7 children per family, those are the poorest, least educated, least healthy countries in the world. When you go and take a country, a nation, a region, and make it healthier and better educated, their growth rates plummet. And so you make a country healthier and better educated, it goes into negative growth rates. And that's what's going on. So I do believe that we'll peak somewhere at 9.5 billion and then begin a very rapid descent in population growth.
We interviewed Chris Slowicki a couple of years ago. We were talking about ARKID. And of course, that's one of the projects of Planetary Resources. And I joined at the time and we funded, I think, ARKID. I think I'm going to get a classroom ARKID picture at some point. How is that going, by the way?
We have our first launch of our first spacecraft April 13th, 2 weeks from today.
Oh, how exciting.
So, yeah, very exciting. We have two launches planned this year, April 13th, and then first week of December, we're going up on the next Falcon SpaceX vehicle. And each, as a space company, most traditional space industry would be like you design something and you'd build it for 8-9 years and you'd launch it and you hope it doesn't blow up, you hope it works. And we've taken an approach very much like Silicon Valley, where we are building and iterating. And so we don't build one of the spacecraft. We'll build 3 or 4 or a dozen spacecraft, and we'll play with it, we'll break it, we'll iterate it. And so the ARKID 100 that you're looking at, we hope will go up in probably mid-2016. It'll have a large aperture optic on it, being able to take photos of stars and planets and or down at the Earth. And then we also have that selfie screen. We've got basically a large screen like this that you're,
I love that.
Your photo. So like I'll have a photo of my kids on there, and in the background will be the planet Earth. And there you go. Yeah. And so it's going to be fun, where hopefully tens of millions of people will have their photo of themselves, their loved ones, and maybe their country in the background. And, of course you can do this stuff in Photoshop, but it's so much cooler when it's real.
Well, I think NASA learned that and has done a great job, that PR is an important part of the mission. You have to get people excited about space and about its opportunities before you can really get the buy-in that's necessary for us as a species to head out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's, so a selfie with the planet Earth behind you, that ain't bad. And I think for a class to have that, that's going to turn some kids on. Also going to make them think a little bit about the precious little blue marble that we're floating around on. And,
and it's a time today where it's really magical, and people don't realize this, that, thousands of years from now, millions of years from now, people will look back at these next few decades, the time when we're alive, as the moment in time where the human race moved irreversibly off the planet to the stars. And we're alive right now. This happened once before when the lungfish moved out of the oceans onto land. But it's so great to think of us becoming a multiplanetary species. And people say, we have so many problems here on the Earth we have to worry about. Yeah, sure. Okay, we should work on those too. But it's okay also for us to sort of spread the seed of humanity and back up the biosphere, so to speak, and make sure we're not a sitting duck for some asteroid with our name on it.
I think that's one of Peter's laws, isn't it? When given a choice, take both, right?
Absolutely.
We're talking to Peter Diamandis. His new book, Bold, is a business book, so something a little bit different for him. How to go big, create wealth, and impact the world. And, of course, a lot of what we do on Twit is we've got ringside seats on this amazing revolution, and you could feel it spinning up. We're going to talk about that and more about space too. And if you're in the chat room, and I know there are a lot of you who are watching live, please, any thoughts or questions you'd have for Peter, I'd love to share them with you. We're going to take a momentary break, though, Peter, if you want to get a cup of coffee or something, and talk about another great guest on Triangulation that we interviewed twice now, Bill Harris at Personal Capital. Bill, a friend of Elon Musk's, who helped found PayPal with Elon, and of course he went on to be the CEO of Intuit, and now has created something to help you with your financial future. It makes no difference to put money aside for your retirement, for your nest egg, if you don't pay attention to it. And I think so many of us just stick it there and hope for the best. Or maybe some of us who are more activist will go out and hire a broker, somebody who is working on commission, and I must say, probably doesn't have your best interest at heart. Personal Capital will help you with this. It's a free tool It's actually 3 things, but it starts with this free tool. You log in. You could do this right now for free at personalcapital.com/triangulation. Put in your accounts, everything. You're immediately going to have a single screen dashboard, real-time dashboard of what's going on with your money, where you're spending too much in fees, perhaps, rebalancing your portfolio. It gives you, it's even for budgeting. Bill says we go beyond budgeting here. Budgeting doesn't work. This is better. This lets you plan for your needs, your expenses, and for your future. That's part 1. Now part 2, and that's absolutely free. So, and that works on not only your desktop, but also on your tablet, on your phone. They've got apps for every platform. They even have an Android Wear app that is so cool that will ping me, like if I get out of balance or there's an opportunity. I really love that. That's absolutely free. Now, here's something nice, kind of the second stage. They also do financial advising. So if you put in $100,000 or more in assets onto your personal capital dashboard, that's going to earn you a free 30-minute review with one of their very smart and not working on commissions advisors. You could discuss your financial goals, your risk tolerance, your time horizon, talk about retirement planning. This is something new, and it's free as long as you're tracking $100,000 in assets or more at Personal Capital. You'll get tailored advice on optimizing your investments. So learn what's going on, get some advice, plan for your future. Personalcapital.com/triangulation, and all this is absolutely free. I want you to give it a try today. Personalcapital.com/triangulation. And we talked with Bill, well, this is a business? He said, well, this is freemium. So the next step up, and this is the third part of it, is some small percentage of you may want to use Personal Capital as your own investment broker, as your own investment advisor, and you can open an account there and you can invest. Lisa's done that. I just use the free stuff. I'm cheap, and I love it. Personalcapital.com/triangulation. Give it a try today. We're talking to Peter Diamandis. He is kind of legendary for so many things, for space exploration, as an entrepreneur, and he has written a new book. It's called Bold: How to Go Big, Create Wealth, and Impact the World. This is kind of, would you say it's a follow-up to Abundance? It seems like a different topic.
Well, it is actually a follow-up to Abundance in the following session, the following way. Abundance was a look at where the world's going to be in 20 or 30 years, how all of these technologies are converging to enable us to create a world of abundance where the basic needs of every man, woman, and child are being met. And the question people kept on saying is, how does this world of abundance get created? And Bold is the how-to side. It's the notion that entrepreneurs, that those of you who are entrepreneurs like myself who love building businesses, it's the realization that today the world's biggest problems, food, water, shelter, hunger, health, education, are the world's biggest business opportunities. You want to become a billionaire, help a billion people. And it's this convergence. So the notion is that you as an entrepreneur can be bold. You can take on the world's biggest problems. You can take on billion-person problems, and you can create wealth in that process. And as you take on these problems and you create wealth for yourself, you're also creating a world of abundance. And it's that alignment. And so Bold is a how-to manual. If you're thinking about where do I start my next business, I'm trying to figure out how I grow what I'm doing. Stephen Kotler, who's my co-author, and I, who also wrote Abundance, wrote Bold very much to be that how-to manual in a very practical fashion, where you don't have to be a technologist, you don't have to have wealth to begin, but there's something in there, I think, for everybody. And we can dive into it if you want. This is your hour. Let me know.
There's so many things I want to talk about. It's hard to pick just one. And a little later on, I think you must be a master of time. I want to know how you're so effective and so efficient because you do so many things. We didn't even mention that you also co-founded with Ray Kurzweil, who's also been on this show, the Singularity University, and that I find fascinating as well. And it's kind of related because Ray's always said we're at the elbow of the hockey stick, and you talk about that a little bit in Bold. We're about to, I think we are maybe already experiencing exponential growth in technology, and I think that that's an interesting. Fish don't know that they're in water. We're in the middle of something pretty amazing. going on. And sometimes it's helpful to have somebody like you step back and tell us, look around.
Yeah.
What Ray's always said the singularity is just a few decades off. He's been saying that for decades. What's happening? What is going on? I think one thing that's very obvious, and you talk about crowdfunding in the book, in the last few years, becoming an entrepreneur, having an idea and taking and executing it, and then getting funding and growing it has never been easier.
Yeah, it really is incredible. And so, first of all, just to
that was 18 questions, so pick any part you want.
Right. So Bold is written in 3 parts. The first part is all about bold technologies, and it's the notion that you as an entrepreneur watching this program right now have access to infinite computing, 3D printing, AI, robotics, synthetic biology, networks, sensors. You know, the toys my kids play with today, I have 3.5-year-old twin boys, are, you know, secret weapons from 20 years ago. You know, these drones with sensing technologies that are auto-stabilized and fly. I mean, it's crazy that you buy these for $30,
I know.
And it would have been like, you know, a military CIA, FBI secret 20 years ago, but my 3.5-year-olds are playing. We forget about this stuff. And we take our iPhone. I'm an Android person, but you know, those of you who are iPhone 6 users, you took your iPhone 5, you throw it in the drawer, maybe you give it to your kid or give it to a friend, and you forget how much massive computational power you've just given away, more than that took us to the moon than the U.S. had in the 60s and 70s. So the first is about the technology, where that we take for granted this power we have. The second part of the book is about bold mindset. It's the notion that, you know, we have the ability to take on things. If you want to touch the lives of 1 billion people as a startup today, you can. You used to have to be the chairman of Coca-Cola or the chairman of GE with arms and legs in 100 countries. Today, you know, you can touch the lives of 1 billion people by having the right viral app or whatever it might be. And the third part of the book, and in the second part of the book, I'm very lucky to have Larry Page and Elon Musk on my board at Xprize. I've spent many times. They're investors in my companies. Richard Branson, who bought the rights to Spaceship One, and Jeff Bezos are the 3 people that I spend a lot of time having conversations with and looking at how they think at scale and sharing that with you. The third part of the book is all about the power of a bold crowd, that today capital is not your challenge. There's plenty of money. You know, in 2012, there was $2.8 billion in crowdfunding. This year, there will be on the order of $10 to $15 billion in crowdfunding. Wow. By 2020, there'll be close to $100 billion in crowdfunding. So if you need money, it's there. You just need the great idea and access to running incentive competitions or crowdsourcing. So we're living in a time where if you're driven by passion, if you know what you want to do, you can. And you don't have to do it inside of a large company. You can do it on your own, or you can do it inside of a large company. Up to you. But my goal is find your passion, find what you want to do about more than ever before, and go out and do it. Stop complaining and start solving.
Stop sitting on your butt. We see this in we're a media enterprise, and we see this in media. It used to be that you had to be heavily capitalized. The power of the press belonged to the guy who owned the printing press, and to do a radio station or television station, to be a record label, to be a movie company, you had to be a mogul. You had to be a plutocrat. And now it's totally democratized. YouTube, it's very obvious that many of the things that were critical resources are now abundant. But there are still, what is the thing that we need to bring to the table that isn't abundant? What is it that we need to supply?
So it's drive and passion. It's curiosity.
That's what we bring as human beings.
It's what we bring as human, because there's plenty of technology. And you may say, but I don't know how to code, or I don't know how to use AI. But you do know something, right? You may be the person who brings the passion. You may be the person who brings the marketing or the capital or some element of it. There are plenty of geeks plenty of techies out there who understand machine learning, understand artificial intelligence, computers, who would love to partner with you because you bring a critical part that they don't have. And this hyper-connected world allows us to link up. And from there, we can do great things.
Yeah. It is such a friction-free system now. It sounds like, though, that the key is a team, is building a team or finding a team to join?
Yeah, I think so. Everything big that I've done with a team of people. It's really hard to do it on your own. You can. There are people who work really well. I mean, a lot of the times if you're reading a book, you're having a conversation with the author in that regard. But if you can find a team, someone who complements your skills, right? If you're the great techie, someone who understands interfacing with people and building a team, or someone who understands marketing or finance, and if you can build a founding team, listen, it's a team that's driven by a common vision and passion and then rapidly iterates. And the advantage you have as an entrepreneur is being able to screw up over and over and over again and say, what the hell, doesn't matter, let's try the next thing.
If there's one lesson I've learned in doing 195 episodes of Triangulation, it's that. It's okay to screw up. You learn as long as you learn from it and you move to the next thing.
Yeah.
And we hear that over and over again from all the people we talk to. Do you have any failures, Peter?
Plenty.
Oh,
Absolutely.
come on. You seem like you just like success. The guy started 2 companies in med school.
Yeah. Well, and actually it's interesting. One of the companies did great. It's called the International Space University. It was my first university. I'm proud to have started 2, International Space University and Singularity University, or co-founded both. The other one was a launch company called International Microspace, and it effectively was trying to do 20 years earlier what Elon is so incredibly well done today. And we built a company. We spent tens of millions of dollars. We ended up winning a $100 million defense contract. We never got the contract funded, and we never got the vehicle built, and it was a failure for sure. And I learned how hard building launch vehicles is to do, and it was out of that failure of International Microspace that I was then reading Charles Lindbergh's book, The Spirit of St. Louis, and saying, how am I going to get my butt into space? How am I going to get my friends who want to go with me into space? And then identifying prizes as a mechanism to do that. And so out of one failure came this motivation to create a prize to let everyone else compete to get us into space.
Did you also learn never to rely on government contracts?
Absolutely. Yes. Oh, my God. The government is such an alluring customer until you actually plug in, and then it's tough. It's tough.
They have bags of money, but they're
lots of strings.
Lots of strings attached. We're going to take a break. We're talking to Peter Diamandis. His new book, Bold, is, start with read Abundance too. I think it's really good to read Abundance and understand the ground of being from which Peter comes, because you have to kind of get this optimistic worldview first, and then now you have the manual for how to go big, create wealth, and impact the world. Peter Diamandis. We're going to take a break. Come back with more in just a second. I got to tell you about my wardrobe. Actually, I'm not. This is not. I don't want to blame Trunk Club for this shirt. This is this is the before Leo, and maybe you've seen some of the great Trunk Club clothes I've been wearing lately. I was so glad when we discovered Trunk Club. This is a good example of how the internet transforms an experience most guys are not fond of. I do not like to shop. Oh, I like to shop. Tools, no problem. Gadgets, you bet. Clothes, that's kind of about the worst thing I can imagine, is shopping and trying on stuff. So Trunk Club has really transformed this for me. First of all, I joined Trunk Club, and it costs nothing to get started. And they assign me a personal stylist. And this is really nice. You meet your stylist, Robin, I love you, and we talk, and she talks about your style, whether it's casual or bold, or do you need business clothes? Do you want formal clothes? What you're looking for, and it can be all of the above. Then the stylist picks shirts and shoes and slacks and jeans and belts and jackets. Best brands out there, really not. Obviously, I don't know from brands, but then when I wear these sweaters, the women in my life go, "Oh, you're wearing Ben Sherman? How nice!" They know. I don't know how they know. We don't know. Guys don't know. Trunk Club does this. Your stylist knows. Then, even then, you still have a lot of control, because she puts up a page. We just did it again for my new trunk. of all the things she's thinking, and it's like hot or not. You go, no. Yeah, okay. So you narrow it down to stuff you know you're not going to want and know you are what. Then the trunk clump comes. And the trunk is so exciting. You open it up. It's beautifully packaged. There's everything's tied up and ribbons and stuff. And you open it up, and there's your shoes, there's your pants, there's your sweaters, whatever it is. You still haven't paid a penny. You have 10 days. Try it on. See what you like. Return the rest. Only then will you be billed for the stuff you kept. That's it. Return everything, you pay nothing. The whole thing has just been a great experiment. I have a feeling, though, you'll find a few things you really, really like. And then there's no subscription. They're not going to send you another trunk next month. No. You're done. If you want more, your stylist will say, hey, I see what you returned. Can you tell me what can I do better? You have a chance for another trunk. It's completely up to you. I love Trunk Club. Free to join, free shipping, returns are free, no minimum purchase, no subscription. You just pay for what you keep. Look, I don't like to shop, but I do like to look sharp. This is for you if you're like that. Great clothes, handpicked for your style by your personal stylist. Trunk Club. You want to start? TrunkClub.com/twit. TrunkClub.com/twit. And yeah, you should see me around the house. I'm a slob. Sometimes I wear funky Hawaiian shirts because John Lasseter's my hero. But every once in a while, if you see me looking sharp, it's because of Trunk Club. And Robin, thank you, Robin. TrunkClub.com/twit. I'm waiting for my second trunk. Should come any day now. Our guest, Peter Diamandis, has the list of credits. If I read your biography on Wikipedia,
don't.
It's not a lie. None of it's not true, right? Founder and chairman of Xprize, co-founder and chairman of Singularity University, author of Abundance, a New York Times bestseller, author of Bold, soon to be a New York Times bestseller, founder and CEO of the Zero Gravity Corporation, co-founder and vice chairman of Space Adventures, founder and chairman of the Rocket Racing League. What's that? Do you race rockets?
It's one of the companies that did not succeed. When I talk about
I love that idea, though.
But it was an amazing company. We actually built a rocket-powered aircraft. We did it with a couple of individuals. We built a virtual raceway in the sky, and the concept was the merger of reality and virtual reality. And it was probably started about 3 years too early, maybe 5 years too early. But we built a single-pilot rocket-powered airplane. And this rocket would have about 3 minutes of propulsion. You push the button, and this 20-foot-long flame would come out the back, and this thing would take off and climb vertically, and would fly through. You're laughing. This is serious. I really built this thing.
No, it's awesome.
It was great.
I'm laughing with pure joy.
We built it. We built the virtual raceway in the sky where you would put up the heads-up displays, or you'd watch people flying through it. The challenge was there was a big air racing accident that occurred, and a number of people died in the process. And the capital we had lined up from sponsors and so forth dried up on the spot. And it was one of those companies that was cool tech in search of a market, instead of solving a marketplace. And it was too hard. We ended up shutting it down, but it worked, and it was a very cool idea. But rocket racing someday will come back.
Is that the lesson you learned from that? Cool tech in search of a problem to solve?
Yeah. So I think it's really important in part 2 of Bold, on Bold Mind.
I love these interviews. They're so great.
Thank you. I spent a lot of time talking to with Larry Page and Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and Richard Branson, and watching what they've taught, watching how they've acted. And I think a lot of them are really focused on solving fundamental problems, things that people need every day. And being clear as an entrepreneur, what is the problem that you're solving? What is the need that you're meeting? What's the unmet need? And I love the notion that if you can help 1 billion people, that's the easiest way to become a billionaire. And there are so many problems that affect. One of the things I want to share with the audience, because I'm on a rampage, I put out a weekly blog post, by the way, a tech blog post. And if you go to Diamandis.com, you can sign up for my weekly blog there. But one I put out yesterday, I put it out every Sunday, is on the rising billions. It's the notion that we're in 2015. 5 years ago in 2020, there were 1.8 billion people connected on the World Wide Web, the internet. This year, it's about 2.8 billion connected. And over the next 5 years, we're going from 2.8 billion to somewhere between 5 to 7 billion people connected. So we're doubling or tripling the number of people connected on the web. You've got Larry Page and Google X with Project Loon. You've got Facebook with Internet.org. You've got Elon Musk backed by Google as well, and Fidelity with his global satellite constellation. You've got Richard Branson and Paul Jacobs and Greg Weiler with One World, their global satellite constellation. So you have 4 or 5 different approaches right now to providing global connectivity to every single person on the planet. And so imagine 3 to 5 billion new customers coming online. And they're not coming online like you and I did, 20 years ago on AOL with a 9600 baud modem. No. They're coming online with a megabit, with Google, with 3D printing. It's going to be an extraordinary world.
What do you think? You mentioned VR. What do you think of VR?
I'm a huge believer in it. I advise a couple of the companies out there right now. I do a program every year called Abundance 360. It's 2.5 days in January. The website is a360.com if people are interested. It's for 250 CEOs. And I spend 2.5 days looking at what are the technologies going from deceptive to disruptive right now. And it's really for people interested in taking their companies. The people in the room are running $10 million to $10 billion companies. And thanks for showing it on the site here. But so I pick 5 or 6 technologies I go down deep into. And last year we went deep into VR, augmented reality. Had many of the leading thinkers on there. We talk about how there's been 3 to 5 billion committed. Facebook with Oculus VR, Google backing Magic Leap, Sony, Microsoft with their with HoloLens and holographic version of their version.
I'm really excited about AR as a user interface. I think that's very intriguing.
Yeah, it's going to disrupt how you search for real estate. Goodbye to the middleman, right?
Well, we've been saying that for a long time. Disintermediation, right?
Yeah, it really is.
But we still haven't gotten rid of the real estate agent. I don't know why.
But we have gotten rid of a lot of other people.
Travel agents.
Well, honestly, it's like, listen, if I want to book my travel at 3 a.m. in the morning, I want to pick my travel agent up. Anyway, but it's happening, and it's all a matter of making your life more convenient and giving you the information you want, when you want it, where you want it.
Do you think, though, about the consequence of this kind of disruption? I mean, if you're a travel agent, you're not cheering so much disintermediation.
No.
I mean, we are in a very disruptive time as well. What do we think about that, or do we just say, hey, look, we've got to enter the future, and there's going to be some casualties?
So this is a conversation I have at Singularity University every time. We run programs at SU for graduate students. Google actually funds all the graduate student tuition for our graduate program.
Great.
They underwrite 5,000 applicants come in, 80 graduates get funded and go forward. We do executive programs. We do programs for our largest companies. And the conversation of disruption. So the question becomes, are we? Is it different this time? Because, in the 60s, it was thought that automation, that's what we called AI and robotics back then, automation, was going to destroy jobs. And in fact, it's just created more jobs. And so there are people like Mark Andreessen who believe that no, all of AI and robotics are simply going to take the jobs we don't like and get rid of them. So here's a stat for you. This comes out of Gallup. Gallup did a poll and said 70% of Americans dislike their jobs.
Oh, jeez. That's bad.
Well, honestly, if you're taking tolls or you're stocking boxes,
there's a lot of crappy jobs out there, and yet we got to feed ourselves. We got to pay the rent.
And so here's the notion. If all of a sudden the cost of living is dropping precipitously, right? So we spend money. Let's take a few examples. We spend money today, and I talk about this in bold, and I give it as examples. We spend money on health, on education, on cars. All three of those can go to near zero as a cost. Health, we've got our Qualcomm tricorder Xprize that we have a winner this year. Imagine a device that you can talk to, cough on, do a finger blood prick, and diagnose you better than a team of board-certified doctors. The cost of health here is going to plummet and going to be far better than ever before. Education, we just launched our Global Learning Xprize. And this is for a piece of AI that can take a child in the middle of no place in Tanzania and honestly bring them from illiteracy to basic reading, writing, and numeracy in 18 months. We're going to have an AI be the best teacher for the son of a billionaire or a daughter of the poorest person on the planet. Will be the same. The same way that Google on this device is the same for Larry Page at Google or for a Maasai warrior in Kenya. It's total democratization.
That's what they said about Coca-Cola, right? You're drinking the same Coke as a billionaire.
It is.
But I love this vision.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't a reality yet.
No, but we forget how far it's come.
Right.
It is so easy to forget the fact that when you have this device, and it is a reality for 1 billion people in Africa in 2016, 1 billion of these handsets. And this handset on a smartphone, that person, that poorest person who uses a good amount of their wealth to buy one of these, has access to the world's information. They also have two-way video conferencing on Skype, high-definition video cameras, still cameras, libraries of books and music, and all of these tools. And it is a reality for them. We've changed their world far more than anybody else's world. It's rising, these rising billions who I talk about. And that is a reality. We forget about that. We forget about the fact that you and I are on Skype, which is we take for granted on this ability to do this. In 2000, the cost of starting an internet company was an average of $5 million for the bandwidth, for the servers, for the software, for all of that. That number has gone from $5 million to $5,000 for the equivalent in 2014. A 1,000-fold reduction. But yet we forget about this stuff. So when you say it's not a reality, it is very much a reality. We just take it all for granted.
What would you tell people today who's facing perhaps the loss of their jobs, kids coming up in college? I have 2 college-age kids. You have two 3-year-olds. But what do you tell your kids they should be doing to prepare for this new future?
It's not about becoming an expert in robotics or AI or any of these areas. It's about finding out what you're most passionate about and remaining curious. I think those are the 2 tools that humans need more than ever before, passion and curiosity. Because if you're passionate about something, you can go and launch a Kickstarter campaign with very little skill and raise the capital to go and create that book, make that movie, start that, whatever project you want. So it's finding out what in your heart and soul you want to do more than anything else. So you're not just stacking boxes to feed your family. And I think there's this ability to go from a world of doing what you do for the basic minimum to doing what you're passionate about. And I think this uplifting of humanity is being enabled by these technologies. Yes, people are going to lose their jobs, but we're going to be creating new jobs. And your ability to go online and self-educate yourself is better than ever before. For free, by the way, from the best teachers on the planet.
And at the same time, though, we have created amazing technologies to amuse ourselves to death, to put ourselves back to sleep. We can spend a lot of time on the couch doing nothing, and it's very seductive. Not everybody has the energy you have, Peter.
Well, and I would say they don't have the energy because they haven't truly found what they're passionate about.
Yeah.
And I think for everybody here, if you're in a stage in your life where you're trying to figure out what you want to do, you're not happy with your job, or you're in school and you're doing what your mom or dad told you to do, or what your teacher told you to do, the question is, can you take a moment And if you took one thing away from this conversation here today, it is, what do you love? What would you do if you didn't have to work? What would you do? I know you'd probably go to the beach, hang out, have some margaritas. What would you do? So
my passion is having margaritas. Is there? You have a problem?
So the question is, what do you do? What did you want to do when you were a child? All right, I dreamed about becoming an astronaut. If I were to say, listen, I'm going to give you $1 billion that you have to spend to make the world a better place, what would you do with that? So there are different ways to think about connecting with your passion to make your life meaningful and purposeful. Because when you can connect with that passion, it's near an infinite well of energy that you can then start going and saying, I can do this. I can make a difference. I can start with a small step and then the next step, and the next step. And that's what I wrote about in Bold. And it's really written for anyone at any stage in your career on how do you tap into this amazing world we're living in to become sort of a riding on top of the tsunami of technological change instead of being crushed by it.
It really is the message that the opportunity is here and that you have but one job, and that is, you say to the incoming class at Singularity University to find, what is it, humanity's great challenge, figure out a great challenge for humanity and then solve it. So make the lives of 1 billion people better. And then, by the way, you'll do all right. You'll do okay. We're going to take a break. When we come back, I got to ask you how you get so much done. You've added twins to the equation? Are you insane? This guy is, well, and you did the same thing, right? Your father was a doctor. Oh. And probably there was pressure to become a doctor and go to med school. So instead you went to MIT, you got an aerospace degree. You started with bio, but you got an aerospace degree, went to Harvard, got a medical degree, took a time out to go get crazy. Started a couple of companies. You never took, like, the licensing exam? Like, you couldn't, like, if I had a heart attack, you couldn't help me at this point?
My greatest fear is on an airplane when they say, is there a doctor on the airplane? And I pray that someone else is there. And if there's nobody else, I'll ring the bell. And I'll full disclosure, I went to medical school but never practiced.
Did you ever become a resident, or you just skipped that part?
No, medical school is 4 years of medicine, and then you do part 1 and part 2 of the boards. I passed both of those.
You did? Wow.
I did. That's what I needed to get a diploma. Yeah. That was my only goal, was get it and photocopy it.
Dad, see? I got it. Now I'm going to do something else.
Yeah. That was basically it.
It's pretty impressive, I have to say. We're going to take a break. Peter Diamandis is our guest, and I got to plug the book. But get both, Abundance and Bold. They go hand in hand. And then, take the world by storm. This is your chance. And while you're doing it, the one thing, we were talking about shopping. It's lovely to make a meal. By the way, one of the best things in the world you could do for people you love is to cook them a luscious meal and sit there and watch them eat it. It is so satisfying. But we work. We got a long day. Who has time or the interest to go to the grocery store, get all the ingredients? This is where Blue Apron is such a cool idea. They don't cook the meal for you. They give you everything you need to cook an amazing meal, incredible, healthful meal with fresh ingredients, less than $10 a meal. And they always send you exactly what you need, by the way. You need a garlic, they can send you a garlic. You need a handful of chives, they send you a handful of chives. And by the way, they're always planning their meals and their recipes around what's fresh, what's local. So you're getting delicious food, never frozen. And then they send you a card with the step-by-step instructions, including pictures. And it gives you this great confidence because you make this amazing meal, like pan-seared steaks with green peppercorn sauce and roasted fingerling potatoes. See, that's something we love here. Or potato and leek chowder with cheddar cheese toast. Go to blueapron.com/twit. You'll never get the same meal twice. They will work around your schedule and your dietary preferences. But it's such a great feeling when you get home and there's the Blue Apron box on your door and everything's just right. Seasonal ingredients, incredible recipes, no trip to the grocery store, and no waste from unused ingredients. It's perfect. You want to win a girl's heart or a guy's heart. You make them a meal like this, they're going to flip their lids. You don't have to tell them that it's all Blue Apron. It's great for cooking with friends. It's great, you know what? It's great to do it with kids. because you're teaching them to cook. You're teaching them a love for great food, for great ingredients. They even have family plans with kid-friendly ingredients so the whole family can eat well. I just love Blue Apron. I want you to try it. We've got your first 2 meals free if you go to blueapron.com/twit. They know, there's a little bump you got to get over to do this, so we'll get you the first 2 meals free. Then you decide. blueapron.com/twit. You see, they even have videos on the site, instructional videos. So if you've never cooked, if you burn water, I'm telling you, you can do this, and you'll feel so good about it. And by the way, you will dine on a delicious meal. blueapron.com/twit. 2 meals free right now. Give it a try.
Hey, Leo, I just want to, both of the last 2 ads you had, the clothing trunk, what's it called again?
Trunk Club, yeah.
Trunk Club and Blue Apron. I mean, it's a perfect example of the amazing world we're living in.
I know.
Right?
I know.
You're crowdsourcing expertise. You don't need to be an expert on fashion or on food. And in fact, it makes your life so much easier. And you've been asked me you have not said to say anything about your commercials. And I usually be mute about this, but I find this fascinating.
Yeah.
Which is you can improve the status of your life, and you can benefit from the expertise of people out there, and it's instantaneously brought to you. It's this world of abundance. And it's this world of entrepreneurship, and this world of whatever I need comes to me, and it's cheap and it's easy. It's really extraordinary.
All our advertisers are that way because, you're talking to a highly technically literate group of people who have, computers and bandwidth and have a real enthusiasm and interest in technology. So our advertisers kind of naturally tend to be in that area, in that arena. And I feel often that we live in the future here. It's kind of... it's exciting. But I'm 58. Am I going to see the future, Peter?
So one of the companies we've not spoken about that I co-founded, we announced a year ago, called Human Longevity Inc Hli. I've been working on it for a couple of years. There are 3 of us: Craig Venter, who sequenced the first human genome; Bob Hariri, who's the top stem cell scientist, entrepreneur in the world; myself. It's a company we started.
I'm surprised Ray's not a part of this.
Well,
isn't this his thing?
Ray, it is, and Ray and I, it's both our things. I took a different approach than Ray. Ray is involved in sort of what Google is doing with Calico, and Craig Venter and Bob and I created a different version with Human Longevity.
Okay. Ray Kurzweil we're talking about. He actually went to Google. So
yes, he's now he took his first job ever.
And we've interviewed him. I've interviewed him many times. We've talked about the Singularity, but we've talked a lot about his, philosophy. I want to live long enough to live forever. How's yours different?
Well, we built the world's largest genome sequencing facility. It's in La Jolla. We're on scale to be sequencing millions of people. But it's not just your human genome, the 3.2 billion letters from your mother and from your father. It's also your microbiome. We do a quantitative MRI of your entire body. We do your metabolome, your proteome, your physiology, and all of this data. It's a massive integrated health record. And then we have Franz Ock, who ran Google Translate for 10 years. He built the capacity with machine learning to translate between 80 language pairs. We now translate and mine this biological data for our clients. We'll be offering this to the public soon enough, but also we'll be offering it, we do now to pharma, which is our first customers. But it's really what we look like, how we sound, what kind of colds we get, what kind of disease, whether we're skinny, whether we're obese, whatever it is, coded for in our genome. And so being able to understand that is going to transform how you live a healthier, longer life. And then the second part of that is using stem cells as the regenerative engine of the body. How we renew our stem cell populations, renew them and make them youthful so that they, allow you to maintain your agility, your, mobility, your aesthetics, and your cognition later in life. Anyway, it's really cool.
Sounds great. Can I go down there now and do it? Because I don't have a lot longer.
Well, we right now, honestly, we've offered it only first to our Abundance 360 members. So those of you who go to abundance360.com and join, you have an on-ramp to this, and then we'll be opening it up this summer to people.
Soon. Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And since you're 53 and I'm 58, I think I have hope that the people in their 50s still have a chance.
Yeah.
I know your twins are going to do great from this. They're going to know how to live their lives. How do you get all this stuff done? Come on, you got to give us the secret. Do you sleep 1 hour a night? What is it?
So first of all, it's not, you build to multiple things. You don't start out doing 10 things at once, right? So I really focused on the Xprize and zero G. I've always believed in my second Peter's law when given a choice, take both. And that sort of it grows exponentially after a while.
Risky.
But I have great teams. I have great teams of people. Craig Venter, I'm the co-founder and his partner. He's the CEO. I have a great president at Xprize. I serve as executive chairman of Singularity University, but Rob Nail is the CEO there. At Planetary Resources, I serve as the co-chairman and co-founder, but Chris Lewicki is the president there. So there's a management team that runs day to day, and my job is really focused on where things are going, and there's a lot of commonality, a lot of integration of people who support all of these things because it's a cohesive vision of where we're going and the steps to getting there.
So you're the vision guy.
I like to think I'm also more than just the vision. I think I like to say I build stuff as well.
Yeah.
But
I love your rules. There are a lot of them, 28 of them. But everybody should go to Diamandis.com and read Peter's laws. Cause,
you can download a copy there.
Yeah, I mean, this is, if anything can go wrong, fix it. The hell with Murphy. That's a great way to start. I almost feel like you're channeling the guy in The Martian when you say that. Do you read books? Do you watch TV? Do you have time to do anything?
I'll probably watch a TV show a week. It's some mindless when I'm brain dead. I do read books on occasion. One of my favorite ones I just read recently is Ready Player One.
Isn't that a great book?
Elon Musk recommended it to me, and it was and Philip Rosedale.
They're making a movie. Steven Spielberg's going to make the movie.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah. Really, the future of virtual reality worlds. And so, I read The Spirit of St. Louis that turned into the Xprize. I read The Man Who Sold the Moon that turned into Planetary Resources. I read Atlas Shrugged, and Ray Kurzweil's book The Singularity is Near turned into Singularity University. So I read a few books, but I take action on them. And
you have to be careful what you read because it sounds like every book becomes a company. So watch out. This is the book you should read, folks. First, start with Abundance. I'm telling you, they go together, and then read Bold because it's a roadmap for you to make your passion a reality and stop doing a job you hate if you do a job you hate, if you're one of the 7 out of 10 who hate their jobs, and start doing something to make the world a better place and make your life better. Peter, you're such an inspiration. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
Well, my pleasure.
Yeah, we're all going to climb Mount Bold together. Thank you, Peter. We do.
Be well, everybody.
Take care. We do Triangulation every Monday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 1800 UTC. We'd love if you watch live because I get a lot of the inspiration and questions from the folks in the chat room, so it's very valuable. But if you can't, I understand you're busy, so we make on-demand versions of the audio and the video available at twit.tv/TRI or youtube.com/triangulation, or you could subscribe in your podcast app on your smartphone or your tablet or iTunes, wherever you get podcasts. We have also some great Twit apps, which we didn't write. Credit to the third-party developers, fans of and members of our community who wrote these on every platform, iOS, Android, Windows Phone, Roku, everywhere you go. So please subscribe, get the show. You don't want to miss a minute, and we'll see you next week on Triangulation. Thanks.